Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really intriguing idea from our source material. We're looking at how faith renews physical strength. Now, usually when we think about energy, we're thinking about, diet, sleep, hitting the gym. But what if the secret to constant all-day energy is actually rooted in your spiritual and emotional state? Let's get right into it and see how faith might literally be the ultimate battery charger. There's this ancient quote from the book of Isaiah that promises boundless physical endurance through faith. It says that those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength and run and not be weary. Now, for centuries, people have read this as just, a nice spiritual metaphor. But our source material makes a pretty bold claim. It suggests this isn't just poetic language at all. It's actually a literal, practical formula for physical stamina. And hey, this isn't just theory. Take Major League Baseball pitcher Frank Hiller, who's highlighted in the text. Picture this. He's pitching a grueling game, and it is blazing hot, over 100 degrees. He's sweating buckets, dropping pounds, and at one point, his energy just totally tanks. But instead of calling for a break, he actively used that exact verse from Isaiah right there on the mound. He later said that reciting it acted as a powerful, energy-producing thought passing through his mind. It literally gave him the precise physical renewal he needed to finish out the game with energy to spare. Crazy, right? So how in the world does a mere thought produce physical energy? Well, we first have to understand how we actually lose energy. The source material argues that it's rarely hard physical work that truly drains us. Instead, we suffer from what the author calls energy leaks. By definition, an energy leak is the drainage of vital power through emotional upheaval, fear, and guilt. It's a fascinating concept, really. It redefines exhaustion as a symptom of emotional and psychological drainage, rather than just busting your hump physically. To really wrap our heads around how faith patches these leaks, the text compares our energy system to an electric clock. Think about it. When a clock is plugged into the wall, it draws on the power flowing through the grid and just runs indefinitely. It doesn't get tired. But the second you unplug it, breaking that contact, boom, it stops dead in its tracks. The source suggests that human beings operate in a very similar, albeit, slightly less mechanical way. When we're spiritually connected, divine energy flows right through us. But the moment we disconnect, we completely deplete our reserves. Section 1. Identifying your energy leaps. Okay, so what exactly unplugs us? According to the author, there are 5 true culprits: fear, resentment, inner conflicts, obsessions, and guilt. See, when our minds are functioning perfectly, our bodies continuously replace the energy we use. But these 5 emotional antagonists throw our finely equated nature completely out of whack, causing a massive, unnecessary expenditure of our natural life force. We see this vividly in a case study from the text about a formerly super active citizen from a Midwestern city. This guy suffered such an acute decline in vitality that his associates literally thought he'd had a stroke. He shuffled around, he wept, he was entirely lethargic. But when they dug deeper, it turned out it wasn't a physical ailment at all. It was deeply embedded childhood fears and mother-child conflicts. Over the years, these unresolved emotions had built up and clogged his energy channel, quite literally, like drifting sand.
Or take another wild example, a prominent businessman suffering from severe insomnia and extreme fatigue. He was popping countless sleeping pills, but absolutely nothing worked. Why? Because he was having an illicit affair and was absolutely terrified of exposure. The text details the striking interaction, where he was told the reason he couldn't sleep was because he was in bed with 2 terrible companions. The exact quote is, "You are trying to sleep every night between fear on one side and guilt on the other." The sleeping pills just couldn't reach those deeper levels of his mind, where all his energy was actually being siphoned off.
Section 2. Finding the right tempo. Moving on, the author points out that our energies are totally destroyed by abnormal pace. The text contrasts the frantic, stressful ticking of modern clocks, the ones that always seem to be screaming, "Hurry up, time to get busy," with the deliberate, ponderous rhythm of a classic grandfather clock. That long pendulum seems to calmly say, "Relax, there's plenty of time." The argument here is that getting our personality synchronized with the calm, deliberate rate of nature and divine energy, essentially God's rhythm, is absolutely crucial to stopping exhaustion. Now, you might be thinking you need to go sit quietly in a forest to find this natural rhythm, but it actually applies everywhere. The material shares an observation from an Ohio industrialist who found that factory workers who attuned themselves to the rhythm of their machines, literally syncing their own bodily rhythm with the mechanics, left work feeling completely energized. They weren't fighting the tempo of their environment. They were in total harmony with it. Section 3. The power of purpose. Have you ever noticed how incredibly tired you get when you're just bored?
The source insists that dullness drains energy faster than pretty much anything else. It highlights a famous statesman who flawlessly delivered 7 massive speeches in a single day without even a hint of fatigue. When they asked him his secret, he didn't cite some special diet or workout routine. He simply said he believed absolutely in everything he said. He was completely enthralled by his convictions. He was pouring himself out. And according to the text, you never lose vitality when you're truly on fire for a cause.
We see this sense of harmony and purpose perfectly in Thomas Edison, arguably one of the greatest inventive minds in history. Despite working insanely long hours, the guy had legendary stamina. His wife actually explained his ability to deeply rest and rapidly recharge with a really simple phrase. He was nature's man. The text points out that in Edison, there were no obsessions, no inner conflicts, no emotional instability. He was totally in tune with the infinite and in complete harmony with his work, which allowed him to draw endless energy from that emotional self-mastery.
Section 4. Renewing your physical strength.
So how do we actually put this into practice when we're feeling completely depleted? Well, the author shares the story of a university professor who had gone completely stale. He'd lost all his zest for teaching, his energy was totally shot. A businessman on the university board offered him a pretty unique prescription. Take a 6-month leave of absence in a wilderness cabin, do some physical labor, and take only one single book, the Bible. He was told to just completely immerse himself in its restorative ideas. And you know what? By stepping away from his frantic tempo and saturating his mind with faith and peace, that professor returned as a completely renewed person with compelling power. Of course, for everyday practice, since most of us can't exactly take 6 months off to go live in the woods, the author prescribes 4 distinct steps to synchronize your tempo and plug back in. Notice the progression here. Step 1, relax physically. Step 2, purposefully relax the mind. Step 3, visualize a quiescent, perfectly calm soul. And finally, Step 4, actively pray or focus on drawing energy from that illimitable divine source. It's essentially a mental and spiritual reset button designed to stop those energy leaks right in their tracks. After exploring all these historical anecdotes, psychological insights, and spiritual methods in today's explainer, it leaves us with a pretty powerful reframing of what it actually means to be tired. It forces us to look inward and ask ourselves a tough question. Are we truly physically exhausted from our daily labor? Or is a disconnected spirit, maybe fueled by unresolved fears, guilt, or just a frantic tempo, secretly draining our battery? It's a massive paradigm shift, suggesting that the key to boundless physical strength might just lie in the quietness of our own emotional and spiritual harmony. Definitely something to chew on the next time you reach for that 3rd cup of coffee.